It was just another ordinary day at Buckingham Palace, or so everyone thought. The sun shone brightly over the grand building, casting golden rays onto the smooth cobblestone paths. Tourists gathered, excited to catch a glimpse of the famous guards standing tall and still in their red uniforms and shiny black hats. They snapped photos, chatting happily about the royal family and the history of the palace. But for young Oliver, a bright-eyed child with dreams as big as the castle itself, today was anything but ordinary. At just 8 years old, he had a heart full of hope and imagination. As he stood at the gates, clutching a worn-out toy soldier, he felt invisible. The toy soldier, with its chipped paint and tattered uniform, had been his loyal companion for as long as he could remember. It was not just a toy, it was a symbol of his dreams and the adventures he longed to have. Every day, Oliver watched the guards from the other side of the gate. They stood like giants in their tall, furry hats, perfectly still and strong. They seemed so powerful, yet so far away. To Oliver, they were part of a world he could only dream about, a world filled with bravery and honor. But today, as he stood alone, he felt small and forgotten. He was just another face in the crowd, overlooked and underestimated. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" his friends often asked. Most kids dreamed of becoming astronauts, superheroes, or famous soccer players. But Oliver's answer was different. He wanted to be a guard, just like the ones he admired. He wanted to stand tall and strong, protecting the palace and making everyone feel safe. He imagined himself in the red uniform, the shiny buttons gleaming in the sunlight, the hat sitting perfectly on his head. But deep down, he feared that his dreams were too big for him. As he looked at the guards, Oliver felt a mixture of admiration and sadness. They were always surrounded by people, smiling and posing for pictures. No one paid attention to him, standing alone with his toy soldier. He wished he could join them, to be noticed, to feel important. But instead, he was just a little boy, lost in a world that seemed to have little room for someone like him. What no one knew was that Oliver harbored a dream that could unite worlds beyond his imagination. Each night, he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, his heart racing with possibilities. In his dreams, he would lead a parade of toy soldiers through the palace gates, marching proudly alongside the real guards. They would salute him, and everyone would see him as a hero. "Maybe one day, I'll be brave enough," he whispered to himself, clutching the toy soldier tightly. "Maybe one day, I'll find a way to be seen." He often imagined stories of adventure where he was not just a bystander but the main character. In these dreams, he fought dragons, saved the day, and even became friends with the royal family. He pictured himself sharing laughter with the princesses, who would invite him to tea, and the kings who would ask for his wise counsel. But in the light of day, reality always pulled him back. "Just a boy with a toy," he thought sadly, glancing down at the worn-out soldier in his hands. He wanted to tell the world about his dreams, to share the stories swirling in his head. But how could he do that when no one seemed to notice him? Today, as the crowds bustled around him, he took a deep breath and tried to gather his courage. "Maybe today will be different," he thought, his heart fluttering with hope. He looked at the guards again, their faces serious and focused, yet he sensed something deeper beneath their stern exteriors. Did they ever feel lonely, like him? Did they have dreams they kept hidden away? Suddenly, a soft voice broke through his thoughts. "What are you looking at?" It was a girl about his age, with bright, curious eyes and a cheerful smile. She stood beside him, her own toy in hand, a shiny princess doll. I want to be a guard one day," Oliver said, his voice barely above a whisper. "A guard," she exclaimed, her eyes widening with excitement. "That's so cool. Why do you want to be a guard?" Oliver hesitated, unsure of how to express his feelings. "Because they're strong and brave. They protect the palace. They look important." The girl nodded, understanding flickering in her gaze. "I think that's awesome. You should go talk to them." Oliver's heart raced at the idea. Talk to the guards. But what would he say? Would they even care about a little boy with a toy soldier? He felt a wave of doubt wash over him, but the girl's encouragement ignited a tiny spark of hope. "Maybe I will," he replied, surprising himself with his own words. "Maybe I will." As they stood together, Oliver's mind raced with possibilities. This unexpected encounter felt like a small crack in the wall of loneliness he had built around himself. Maybe there was a way to be seen, a way to share his dreams. Perhaps today was the day that would change everything. As the girl waved goodbye and moved back into the crowd, Oliver took a deep breath, clutching his toy soldier tightly. He looked at the guards one more time, determination flooding his heart. Today, he would take a step toward his dreams. Today, he would find a way to be noticed. With renewed purpose, Oliver stepped closer to the gates, the sun shining bright above him, illuminating the path ahead. Little did he know, his small act of courage would set off a series of events that would change his life forever. And as he stood there, ready to make his move, he felt a glimmer of hope, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, the world had room for a boy with a dream. His adventure was just beginning. The gates of Buckingham Palace stood before him, waiting for him to take that leap of faith. The guards were still standing tall, but Oliver knew that today, he would make his voice heard. Today, he would show everyone that even the smallest of dreams could have the power to change the world. The royal guards were often viewed as mere sentinels, their fierce faces hidden behind fur hats that towered above their heads like clouds. To the casual observer, they seemed like lifeless statues, standing still in their bright red uniforms and shiny black boots. But for young Oliver, they were so much more than that. He had watched them through the gates of Buckingham Palace for years, and each time, they filled him with awe. Their disciplined posture contrasted sharply with the chaos of the outside world, the laughter, the noise, and the endless crowds of tourists. Every day, Oliver would find his spot by the gates, his heart racing as he caught glimpses of the guards. To him, they embodied strength and courage. They stood tall and proud, protecting the palace, as if guarding the very secrets of the kingdom. But today was different. Today, Oliver felt a weight in the air that made his heart sink. As he waved to the guards, hoping for a smile or a nod, he felt the usual indifference from the crowd weighing down on him. Children ran past him, giggling and pointing at the guards, their parents snapping pictures, oblivious to the boy standing alone with his worn-out toy soldier. "Look at that kid," a passerby scoffed, shaking their head. "Just another wannabe soldier." The words hit Oliver like a stone. His heart dropped, and he felt small and invisible. He glanced down at his toy soldier, its paint chipped and its uniform faded, and for a moment, doubt crept into his mind. Was that all he was? Just a kid pretending to be something he could never be? The laughter echoed in his ears, mixing with the clang of the palace gates. He longed for someone to see him, to understand him. Little did they know that he had a secret bond with the guards, a bond formed through countless visits and whispered hopes. Every time he stood at the gates, he imagined they could hear his dreams, feel his longing, and see the bravery that lay hidden within his small frame. Beneath their stoic exteriors, Oliver sensed a flicker of understanding, a spark of connection waiting to ignite. There were moments when the guards would catch his eye, and in those fleeting seconds, he believed they saw him. It was in those moments that he felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps they recognized his spirit, the same spirit that filled their hearts when they stood guard over the palace. But today, that hope felt distant. The crowd continued to rush by, paying no attention to him. He felt more alone than ever, a solitary figure in a sea of faces. Oliver stood on his tiptoes, straining to catch a glimpse of the guards' faces behind their furry hats. He wanted to believe that they would notice him, that they would somehow know how much he admired them. He wanted them to know he was not just another kid, but someone who dreamed of being brave like them. Feeling a rush of determination, he stepped closer to the gates, the cool metal pressing against his palms. He could hear the laughter and chatter of the crowd, but he focused on the guards. If he could just get their attention, maybe they would see him. He waved again, this time with all the strength he could muster. "Hey! Look at me," he called out, his voice cracking slightly. A few people turned, their curious glances briefly landing on him, but then they returned to their conversations, leaving Oliver feeling even more invisible. Frustration bubbled inside him, but he pushed it down. "I won't give up," he thought fiercely. "They have to notice me." He scanned the guards again, searching for any sign of acknowledgement. But their faces remained stoic, their eyes focused straight ahead. He could sense their strength, their duty, and it only made him admire them more. Each guard seemed like a mountain, unmovable and powerful. Yet here he was, a small boy yearning for just a little bit of recognition. As the minutes ticked by, Oliver felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. He glanced around, watching other children giggling, their parents taking pictures. He was happy for them but wished he could share in that joy. His heart ached as he thought about how he would never be part of that world. How could he be a guard when no one saw him? In that moment of despair, he remembered the stories he had imagined, the brave soldiers who fought for their kingdom, who stood strong in the face of danger. They didn't wait for others to notice them, they took action. They stepped forward, ready to protect and defend. He took a deep breath, feeling a surge of bravery wash over him. "I can be brave too," he whispered to himself, clutching his toy soldier tightly. He remembered all the times he had come to the palace, how he had watched the guards change, their movements precise and practiced. They were like dancers, performing a routine that captivated everyone around them. But Oliver wanted more than to just watch, he wanted to join in. Maybe today is the day, he thought. He stepped back from the gates, his heart racing with a mix of excitement and fear. Maybe today, I can show them who I really am. He squared his shoulders, determined to break through the wall of indifference that surrounded him. But just as he prepared to make his move, he felt a sudden surge of doubt. What if they didn't want to hear what he had to say? What if they laughed at him again? The thought made his stomach twist. He hesitated, frozen in place as he watched the guards, their expressions unchanged. As he stood there, another wave of laughter rang out from the crowd, pulling him back to reality. A group of older kids was making fun of him, pointing and snickering. "Look at that kid. He thinks he's a soldier," one of them shouted, and the laughter echoed around him. Oliver's heart sank once more. He wanted to hide, to disappear from the judgmental stares. But deep down, he knew he couldn't give up. This was his chance. He had to be brave, even when others doubted him. He lifted his chin, letting the words wash over him like water off a duck's back. Courage is not the absence of fear, he reminded himself. It's standing up even when you're scared. Taking another deep breath, he focused on the guards again, summoning all the strength he could find. He stepped forward, closer to the gates, feeling the eyes of the crowd on him. The laughter faded into the background as he gathered his thoughts. This was it. I will speak to them, he resolved. I will show them my heart. As he stood before the towering gates, Oliver felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The guards were still there, unwavering in their duty. He knew he had to seize this moment, to show them that he was not just a boy with a toy soldier but someone who believed in bravery and kindness. "Excuse me," he called out, his voice ringing clear and strong. The crowd paused, the laughter dimming as they turned to see what was happening. Oliver's heart raced as he realized he had their attention. "I want to be a guard. I want to be brave like you." For a brief moment, there was silence. The guards turned their heads slightly, their eyes meeting his. Oliver held his breath, hoping against hope that they would respond. He could see the flicker of surprise in their expressions, and for the first time, he felt a spark of connection. But just as he thought he had their attention, a voice cut through the air. "A guard? Ha! Look at him." It was one of the older kids from earlier, sneering at him. "You'll never be a guard. You're just a kid with a toy." The laughter erupted again, and Oliver felt his heart shatter. But amidst the laughter, he noticed something unexpected. One of the guards, a tall man with a kind face, shifted slightly. He had been watching Oliver closely, and there was a glimmer of understanding in his eyes. "Just because you're small doesn't mean you can't dream big," the guard said, his voice deep but warm. Oliver's heart lifted slightly at the unexpected support. Everyone starts somewhere. It takes courage to stand up and speak your mind. The laughter began to fade as the crowd processed the guard's words. Oliver felt a rush of hope surge through him. Perhaps he wasn't as invisible as he thought. He stepped closer, feeling the courage grow inside him. "I believe that if you work hard and believe in yourself, you can be anything," he said, his voice stronger now. "Even a guard. I want to protect people and be brave, just like you." The guard smiled, a small but genuine smile that made Oliver's heart flutter. "That's the spirit. Remember, being a guard is not just about the uniform. It's about having heart and strength, no matter how small you are." As he spoke, the other guards began to nod, their expressions softening. Oliver could feel the tension in the air shifting, and hope blossomed within him. "I'll keep coming back until I can be a guard," he declared, his voice ringing with determination. "I'll show everyone that I can be brave, too." The crowd fell silent once more, but this time, the laughter was gone. Oliver stood tall, his heart racing with exhilaration. He had done it. He had spoken his truth, and now the guards were listening. In that moment, Oliver felt the connection he had always hoped for. The guards were no longer just statues. Days turned into weeks, and Oliver returned to the gates of Buckingham Palace every chance he got. Each time he arrived, he felt a mixture of excitement and determination. He stood there with his worn-out toy soldier, gazing up at the royal guards with hope. With every visit, he began to notice little things about the guards that he hadn't seen before. He watched closely as Guard Williams, a tall man with a serious expression, would sometimes shift his weight from one foot to the other, especially when he thought no one was looking. It was a small, almost imperceptible movement, but to Oliver, it felt significant. "He's human," Oliver thought to himself. "He's just like me, feeling tired and needing to move." Then there was Guard Patel, who had a gentle demeanor. Occasionally, Oliver would catch him giving a small nod to a child or even a wink when he thought no one was paying attention. It warmed Oliver's heart to see these small gestures of kindness. They weren't just guards, they were people, too, and maybe, just maybe, they saw him after all. With every passing day, Oliver felt a stronger connection to them. He had started to believe that he could be part of their world, a world filled with bravery and honor. He began to daydream about becoming a guard himself, imagining the day he would wear a shiny uniform and stand tall like them, protecting the palace and inspiring other children. One sunny afternoon, as Oliver stood at the gates, he spotted a group of children gathered around a bench nearby, laughing and playing games. He felt a pang of longing. He wished he could join them, but his heart was still set on the guards. They had become his heroes. He turned his attention back to the guards, focusing on the disciplined way they stood. He admired their strength and the pride they took in their duty. He often practiced his own stance, trying to mimic their tall, straight posture. He imagined how proud his toy soldier would be to see him standing like a real guard. Each visit became an opportunity for him to learn, and he soaked up every moment like a sponge. Then, one fateful day, everything changed during a royal event. The streets were lined with excited spectators, and the air was filled with laughter and chatter. Oliver stood in the crowd, clutching his toy soldier tightly, feeling a buzz of energy all around him. He could sense the excitement in the air, and it filled him with a new kind of hope. As he watched the guards march by, their boots hitting the pavement in perfect rhythm, he noticed a little girl nearby. She couldn't have been much older than 5, and her face was filled with wonder. Her eyes were wide, sparkling with excitement as she tried to catch a glimpse of the guards. But she was struggling to see over the taller people in the crowd. Oliver felt a rush of courage swell inside him. This was his moment to act. He could help. Without thinking twice, he stepped forward, his heart racing. "Here," he called out, raising his toy soldier above his head. "You can see." In that moment, something magical happened. Guard Williams, who had been marching in line with the other guards, caught sight of Oliver's gesture. For the first time, a smile broke across his serious face, a rare break in his disciplined facade. It was a warm smile that lit up his eyes, and Oliver felt a spark of joy rush through him. The little girl turned to Oliver, her eyes wide with surprise and delight. "Thank you," she exclaimed, her face lighting up. Oliver felt his heart swell as he watched her climb up on her father's shoulders to get a better view. The guards, sensing the kindness in Oliver's action, responded in kind. A ripple of smiles spread through the ranks of the guards. They exchanged knowing glances, and Oliver could see that they appreciated his small act of bravery. It was as if his simple gesture had broken down a wall, connecting him to them in a way he had never imagined possible. For Oliver, that moment was everything. It was a turning point that filled him with a sense of belonging he had longed for. He felt seen, not just as a boy with a toy soldier but as someone who could bring joy and kindness to others. The atmosphere shifted, and the crowd buzzed with excitement as more people noticed the exchange. Guard Patel caught Oliver's eye and gave him a quick thumbs up, his smile wide and genuine. The warmth of that gesture made Oliver's heart flutter. He knew he had done something special, and it was a moment he would never forget. As the guards continued to march, Oliver couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. He had taken a step toward his dream, and for the first time, it felt possible. The little girl's smile and the guard's acknowledgement filled him with hope and determination. From that day on, Oliver began to see every visit to the palace in a new light. Each day, he looked for ways to connect with the guards and spread kindness. He would bring little gifts, handmade cards or drawings of the guards in action, which he would leave at the gates for them to find. Each time he returned, he felt a growing sense of excitement, as if he were part of a secret mission. The guards began to notice the little gestures, and it made Oliver feel closer to them. He could see their smiles widen as they found his drawings. It was as if he was communicating with them in a special language of kindness and respect. Oliver felt like he was building a bridge between himself and the guards, one small act at a time. He continued to practice his stance, mimicking the guards' disciplined posture. Every time he spotted them, he felt more inspired. He would stand tall, shoulders back, just like them, imagining the day he would join their ranks. The dream seemed more real with each passing moment. One afternoon, as Oliver stood at the gates, he overheard a conversation between two guards. They were discussing an upcoming event, a big parade in the city. "It's going to be a long day," Guard Patel said. "But it's always worth it to see the smiles on the children's faces." Oliver's heart raced. This was his chance. What if I could be part of that parade, he thought excitedly. He envisioned himself marching alongside the guards, proudly holding his toy soldier, representing all the children who looked up to them. Fueled by excitement, he began to brainstorm ideas for how he could be involved. Maybe I could make banners or flags to wave during the parade, he thought. I could encourage other kids to join in and celebrate. The thought of bringing joy to others filled Oliver with a sense of purpose. He started to gather supplies for his banners, carefully crafting each one with bright colors and cheerful messages. He poured his heart into every detail, imagining the smiles on the faces of the children who would see them. As the parade day approached, Oliver felt a mix of excitement and nerves. He knew he wanted to be brave and share his creations with the world. On the day of the event, he arrived early, his heart racing with anticipation. He found a good spot where he could see the guards and the crowd. As the parade began, Oliver waved his banners high above his head, feeling like he was part of something much bigger than himself. He could see the guards marching proudly, and as they passed by, he shouted, "You're doing great." To his surprise, the guards looked over and smiled, some even giving him a nod of acknowledgement. It felt like they were acknowledging his presence, recognizing him as one of their own. The connection he had dreamed of was becoming a reality. As the parade continued, more children gathered around Oliver, drawn to his colorful banners and infectious enthusiasm. "Can we help you wave them?" one little girl asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Of course," Oliver replied, grinning from ear to ear. Soon, he was surrounded by a small group of children, all eagerly waving the banners and cheering for the guards. They laughed and shared stories about their favorite things, united by their admiration for the soldiers standing tall in front of them. In that moment, Oliver realized something profound: he had created a space for joy and connection, not just for himself but for others, too. The crowd began to respond, clapping and cheering for the guards, and it filled the air with a sense of community and celebration. As the parade marched on, the guards continued to smile at the children, and Oliver felt a swell of pride. He was no longer just a boy standing at the gates, he was part of something special. He was inspiring others, and they were inspiring him right back. After the parade ended, Oliver felt a wave of happiness wash over him. The guards had approached him, and Guard Williams knelt down to speak with him directly. "You did an amazing job today, Oliver," he said, his voice warm and encouraging. "You brought so much joy to everyone here." Oliver beamed, his heart soaring. "Thank you. I just wanted to help." Guard Patel joined in, giving Oliver a friendly pat on the shoulder. "You have a gift, young man. Keep spreading that kindness. You never know how many lives you can touch with just a smile or a wave." Oliver nodded, filled with a sense of purpose. It was the validation he had always hoped for. In that moment, he felt like he belonged, not just to the world of the guards, but to a community of caring individuals. From that day on, Oliver knew he could keep dreaming big. He realized that he didn't have to wait to become a guard to make a difference. He was already. The day of the annual Royal Family Parade had finally arrived, and excitement buzzed through the air like the fluttering of colorful flags. Families lined the streets, children laughed and pointed, and vendors shouted out their wares. It was a day filled with joy and celebration. But for Oliver, it was more than just an event, it was a chance to show the world his true spirit. He had prepared for this day for weeks, and now, as he stood at the gates of Buckingham Palace, he felt a mix of nervousness and determination. Oliver had spent the night before practicing his speech, thinking about how he would show everyone that being brave didn't just mean being strong, it meant being kind, too. He clutched his toy soldier tightly in his hand, feeling the familiar weight of it give him courage. Today was the day he wanted to make a difference, to prove that anyone, no matter how small, could stand up for what was right. As the parade commenced, the guards marched in perfect formation, their boots echoing on the pavement. Oliver felt his heart swell with pride as he watched them. But then, he noticed something unusual. The guards seemed restless, their faces tense, and whispers of a potential threat fluttered through the ranks. Oliver's heart raced as he sensed the shift in the atmosphere. He could feel that something was not right, but he wasn't sure what it was. Then, without warning, a commotion erupted near the palace entrance. A group of rowdy protesters had breached the barriers, pushing through the crowd and causing chaos. People gasped, and a wave of fear swept through the spectators. Oliver's heart raced even faster. He watched as the guards, disciplined as ever, sprang into action, their training kicking in as they moved to protect the royal family and maintain order. In that critical moment, something within Oliver awakened. He took a deep breath, feeling the rush of adrenaline. "I can help," he shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. He waved his toy soldier high above his head like a flag, hoping to grab the attention of the guards. The sight of a child so eager to assist was both surprising and heartwarming, yet it also worried the guards. To everyone's shock, Guard Williams, who had been standing at the forefront of the guards, approached him. "Stay back, Oliver. It's dangerous," he commanded, his tone firm but with an undercurrent of concern. He had seen the chaos erupting and knew the risk involved. But Oliver shook his head vigorously, determination shining in his eyes. "No, I want to show everyone we can be kind even when it's hard," he insisted. The words spilled from him like water from a fountain, filled with the passion he had cultivated over the past weeks. At first, Guard Williams hesitated, looking between Oliver and the chaotic scene unfolding before them. The guards were trained to respond with strength and authority, but they also knew the importance of calmness and understanding. In a twist of fate, Oliver's bravery sparked something in the guards. They were moved by his fearless spirit and his message of kindness, which resonated with their own values. With renewed determination, the guards formed a line, standing shoulder to shoulder, their presence commanding respect. They positioned themselves between the protesters and the royal family, creating a barrier that symbolized strength and protection. Oliver stood beside them, feeling the rush of adrenaline and the warmth of solidarity. The atmosphere shifted as the guards began to project a sense of calm amidst the chaos. As Oliver stood proudly with his toy soldier raised high, he felt the power of kindness transform the atmosphere. It was as if a light had ignited in the hearts of those around him. The protesters, caught off guard by the sight of a child standing confidently with the guards, began to pause, reconsidering their actions. The tension in the air felt less heavy, replaced by an unspoken understanding. "Look at that kid," one of the protesters exclaimed, pointing at Oliver. "He's brave. He's standing up for what he believes in." The words echoed in the crowd, and it was as if Oliver's courage had become a rallying cry. Other protesters started to lower their signs, their expressions shifting from anger to curiosity. They were beginning to see the power of kindness in the face of conflict. "Maybe we can talk instead of shouting," another protester said, glancing at the guards and then at Oliver. "If he believes we can be kind, perhaps we should listen." The atmosphere in the crowd began to change. People were lowering their voices, turning to each other and sharing thoughts. The guards remained firm, but they also shifted slightly, allowing the protesters space to express their frustrations without escalating the situation. Oliver felt the warmth of hope blossom in his chest. He knew that sometimes, bravery was not just about standing firm, it was about reaching out and creating connections. "Kindness is powerful," Oliver called out, his voice ringing clear above the crowd. "We can all be friends, even if we disagree." The words took root, spreading like ripples in a pond. People began to nod, and conversations started to bloom. They began discussing their feelings and opinions, and some even approached the guards, wanting to share their concerns without anger. Oliver felt a surge of pride as he saw the change unfold before his eyes. He was witnessing the beauty of understanding taking shape in the midst of chaos. Guard Williams and Guard Patel exchanged glances, their expressions softening. They were witnessing something remarkable. A young boy, through his bravery and kindness, had transformed a potentially violent situation into one of dialogue and compassion. They felt a deep sense of respect for Oliver, realizing that he was showing them a different way to protect and serve their community. As the guards continued to stand tall, the crowd began to respond positively to Oliver's words. The protesters started to put down their signs, and some even stepped forward, wanting to speak with the guards directly. "We're not here to fight," one protester shouted. We just want to be heard. Then let's talk. Oliver shouted back, a bright smile on his face. We can listen to each other. Let's find a way to understand. The guard stepped aside slightly, allowing the protesters to move closer. In that moment, Oliver felt a swell of hope. He realized that sometimes the greatest strength comes from vulnerability and a willingness to connect with others. The power of kindness was stronger than any uniform or weapon. The dialogue began, and the guards facilitated the conversation, ensuring that everyone felt safe and respected. Oliver stood at the center, his toy soldier still raised high, feeling like a bridge between two worlds. The energy of the crowd shifted, and it became clear that they were working towards understanding rather than conflict. As the discussions continued, Oliver could feel the tension dissipating. People were sharing their stories, their fears, and their hopes for the future. They were finding common ground, realizing that beneath their differences, they all shared the same desire for safety, love, and community. The parade was still going on around them, but it had transformed into something more significant. It was no longer just a celebration of the royal family, it had become a celebration of humanity, of connection, and of understanding. Oliver stood there, proud of what he had accomplished. He had taken a moment of chaos and turned it into an opportunity for kindness and dialogue. As the day wore on, the crowd began to disperse, but the conversations continued. The protesters had not only expressed their feelings, but they had also listened to the guards and to each other. They were beginning to see the guards not as adversaries but as partners in their community. I didn't think it was possible to change things like this, one protester said, shaking Oliver's hand with gratitude. Thank you for reminding us that kindness can make a difference. Oliver smiled, feeling the warmth of their words wash over him. We can all be brave in our own way, he replied. I just wanted to show that even a small act can have a big impact. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Oliver felt a sense of fulfillment deep within his heart. He had stood up for kindness, and in doing so, he had inspired others to do the same. It was a moment he would cherish forever. As he prepared to leave, Guard Williams knelt down beside him, his expression filled with admiration. You've done something truly special today, Oliver. You showed us all what it means to be brave, and you reminded us of the importance of kindness. Oliver beamed at the praise, feeling a swell of pride. I just did what felt right, he replied modestly. Sometimes, that's all it takes, Guard Patel added, his eyes sparkling with respect. You have a gift, Oliver. Keep using it to inspire others. The world needs more kindness, just like you showed us today. Oliver nodded, feeling a sense of purpose in those words. He knew that this was just the beginning of his journey. He had discovered that even a small boy with a toy soldier could make a difference in the world. He had found his voice, and he was determined to use it to spread kindness wherever he went. As he left the gates of Buckingham Palace, Oliver looked back at the guards, his heart filled with gratitude. He had formed a bond with them that went beyond their uniforms. It was a bond built on understanding, respect, and a shared commitment to kindness. The day had been a turning point in Oliver's life, a moment where he had learned that true bravery was not just about standing firm against threats, but about reaching out, listening, and creating connections. And as he walked away, he knew that he would carry that lesson with him, ready to face. With the situation defused, the palace stood calm again. The chaos of the protest had faded, replaced by a sense of peace that settled over the crowd like a warm blanket. Oliver's bravery had sparked a change in the hearts of everyone present, and the guards, who were once seen merely as protectors of the royal family, had transformed into symbols of unity and compassion. The royal family, witnessing the courage of both the guards and the young boy, recognized the power of kindness in bringing people together. As the crowd began to cheer for both the guards and Oliver, their voices filled the air with warmth and appreciation. Hooray for Oliver, some shouted, their voices rising high above the palace grounds. The cheers echoed through the stone walls, a celebration of what had just occurred. It was a moment that would be remembered for years to come. Amidst the clamor of joy, the commander of the guards, a tall man with a firm but kind expression, stepped forward. He had watched the entire event unfold, his heart swelling with pride for both his men and the young boy who had bravely stepped into the fray. He approached Oliver, kneeling down to meet his eyes at eye level. "You've shown us what it means to stand strong," he said, his voice steady and filled with admiration. "You're more than just a boy with a toy soldier, you're a hero." Oliver's heart raced as he heard the word hero. It felt surreal to him. He had never imagined that his small act of kindness could have such a profound impact. The cheers continued to echo around him, and he could feel the warmth of the crowd's support wrapping around him like a cozy blanket. "Thank you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, overwhelmed by the moment. The commander smiled, standing tall again. "You've taught us all an important lesson today. Your bravery reminds us that we are not just guards, we are also members of this community. We must protect not only those we serve but also the values we hold dear." His words resonated deeply with Oliver and everyone present, filling them with hope and determination. In the days that followed, the atmosphere around the palace began to shift. The guards, inspired by Oliver's courage, vowed to create a community where everyone, especially children like Oliver, felt seen and valued. They began to organize events that would bring people together, fostering understanding and unity between the royal family and the citizens of the city. Oliver was invited to participate in planning these events, and he was thrilled. He had always dreamed of being a part of something bigger, something that could help people connect with one another. The guards became his friends, and together, they brainstormed ideas for community gatherings, educational programs, and outreach efforts to engage with the citizens. One of their first events was a day of kindness, where families were encouraged to come to the palace grounds and share their stories, talents, and skills. The guards set up booths for crafts, games, and storytelling. Oliver helped organize a small performance area where children could showcase their talents, whether it was singing, dancing, or reciting poetry. The day was filled with laughter, joy, and connection as families mingled and shared their experiences. At the Day of Kindness, Oliver took center stage, his toy soldier still in hand. He spoke to the crowd, his voice strong and clear. "Today, we celebrate each other. We celebrate our differences and our similarities. We are all part of this community, and together we can make it stronger." The crowd erupted in cheers, echoing the sentiment that Oliver had sparked. The guards watched with pride, feeling grateful for the impact that the young boy had made. They realized that their role was not just to protect the palace but to serve as leaders in the community, guiding people toward kindness and understanding. With each event, they learned more about the people they served and the challenges they faced. As the weeks turned into months, the guards and Oliver worked tirelessly to foster relationships between the royal family and the community. They organized workshops to teach children about respect, empathy, and kindness. The palace became a place of learning and growth, where people could come together to share their thoughts and experiences. One day, as Oliver was helping to set up for a community picnic in the palace gardens, he spotted Guard Williams, who had become a close friend. Williams was working with a group of children, showing them how to march like the guards. Oliver approached, a smile spreading across his face. "Can I join?" he asked, eager to participate. "Of course." Guard Williams replied, his face lighting up. "We need a brave little soldier like you to show everyone how it's done." Oliver felt a surge of pride as he joined the children, mimicking the guards' movements. They marched together, laughter and excitement filling the air. In that moment, Oliver realized how far he had come since that chaotic day at the parade. He had transformed from a shy boy into a confident leader, inspiring others through his actions and words. The community picnic was a great success. Families from all walks of life came together to enjoy food, games, and each other's company. There were laughter and joy as people shared stories, creating bonds that would last a lifetime. Oliver moved from group to group, soaking in the happiness around him. He felt a sense of belonging that he had never experienced before. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the palace, Oliver gathered everyone for a moment of reflection. "Today was amazing," he said, looking out at the smiling faces. "We showed that kindness can bring us all together. Let's promise to keep this spirit alive, not just today but every day." The crowd cheered, and Oliver felt his heart swell with joy. They all shared a commitment to kindness and understanding, vowing to support each other and build a brighter future together. In the months that followed, the relationship between the guards, the royal family, and the community flourished. The palace became a symbol of unity and hope. Oliver continued to play a significant role in fostering this spirit of kindness. The guards respected him not only for his bravery but also for his unwavering dedication to making the world a better place. As time passed, Oliver's bond with the guards deepened. They often met to discuss new ideas and initiatives, always brainstorming ways to engage the community further. The palace grounds became a hub of activity, filled with laughter, music, and creativity. Families found joy in coming together, sharing their experiences and learning from one another. One day, Oliver received an unexpected letter. It was from the royal family, thanking him for his efforts in bridging the gap between the palace and the people. They invited him to a special ceremony where he would be recognized for his bravery and kindness. Oliver's heart raced with excitement. He couldn't believe he was going to be honored by the royal family. On the day of the ceremony, the palace was adorned with beautiful decorations, and the atmosphere was electric. People from the community filled the grounds, all eager to celebrate Oliver's contributions. The guards stood proudly at attention, their uniforms gleaming in the sunlight. As the ceremony began, Oliver stood nervously on stage, his toy soldier by his side. The royal family approached, smiles on their faces. The king stepped forward, his voice resonating through the crowd. "Today, we gather to honor a remarkable young boy who has shown us all what it means to be brave and kind. Oliver, you have inspired not only the guards but everyone in our community. Your actions have taught us the true value of unity and compassion." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Oliver felt his cheeks flush with happiness. The king continued, "In recognition of your bravery and your commitment to bringing our community together, we would like to present you with this medal." As the king placed the medal around Oliver's neck, he felt a surge of pride. It was a symbol of everything he had worked for, a reminder that even the smallest actions could create ripples of change. He looked out at the crowd, filled with familiar faces, friends, family, and the guards who had supported him every step of the way. "Thank you," Oliver said, his voice shaking slightly. "I am just a boy with a toy soldier, but I believe that kindness can make a difference. We all have the power to change the world, no matter how small we are. Let's continue to work together and spread kindness wherever we go." The cheers grew louder, and Oliver felt a wave of love wash over him. He had become a symbol of hope and kindness in his community, and he was determined to keep that spirit alive. In the following months, Oliver and the guards continued their efforts to engage the community, hosting events and workshops that encouraged kindness and understanding. The bonds they had formed with the people grew stronger, creating a sense of belonging that resonated throughout the city. Oliver became known not only as a brave boy but as a leader who inspired change. The palace was no longer just a royal residence, it had become a beacon of hope and unity for everyone. People from all backgrounds felt welcomed, their voices heard, and their concerns addressed. As Oliver walked through the palace gardens one sunny afternoon, he couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come. He had taken a moment of chaos and transformed it into a movement of kindness and understanding. He had learned that true bravery lies in reaching out, listening, and connecting with others. As he looked out at the children playing and laughing in the gardens, he felt a sense of fulfillment. He knew that the journey didn't end here, there was always more work to be done, more kindness to spread. With his toy soldier in hand and the support of his friends, Oliver was ready to continue making a difference, one small act of kindness at a time. In the years that followed, as the sun set behind Buckingham Palace, casting a golden glow over the scene, Oliver stood in the gardens, taking in the beauty of the moment. The colors of the sky were a vibrant blend of oranges, pinks, and purples, painting a picture that felt almost magical. In this serene setting, he felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. His heart swelled with pride, knowing that the events of the past months had not only changed him but had also impacted his community in ways he had never imagined. Oliver thought back to the days when he felt invisible, just another child in the crowd, wishing for a connection, a purpose. Now, he stood tall, his toy soldier firmly in hand, surrounded by friends who had become like family. His dreams, once hidden behind a mask of invisibility, now shone bright like the stars beginning to twinkle overhead. He realized that he had found his place in the world, a place where he could make a difference and inspire others to do the same. Sometimes, it takes a child's heart to remind us of the power of kindness, the commander said, placing a reassuring hand on Oliver's shoulder. His voice was deep and warm, filled with wisdom and understanding. And those who stand tall with courage, they're the ones who truly change the world. Oliver looked up at the commander, feeling the weight of those words sink in. The commander had been a steadfast mentor, guiding him through his journey and encouraging him to embrace his unique spirit. Oliver understood that it was not just about being brave in moments of chaos but also about being kind, compassionate, and willing to listen. The journey of a true leader begins with understanding and connecting with others. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, Oliver reflected on the many lessons he had learned. He thought of the guards who had once seemed so distant, their stern faces now softened by friendship and respect. They had shown him that strength is not merely about standing tall or holding authority, it is about showing empathy and understanding to those around you. He had seen how kindness could spread like wildfire, igniting hope in the hearts of others. It was this kindness that had brought people together, bridging gaps and building relationships. It was this kindness that had turned the palace into a place of joy and unity, where families felt welcome and valued. In that moment, Oliver knew that true strength lies not in authority or power, but in the ability to connect, to care, and to inspire. His heart was filled with gratitude for the journey he had taken, and for the people who had supported him along the way. He felt a sense of responsibility to continue spreading kindness, to be a beacon of hope for others who might feel lost or alone. He looked up at the stars beginning to twinkle in the night sky, each one shining brightly against the deep blue backdrop. This is just the beginning, he whispered to himself, feeling a surge of determination. He understood that his journey was far from over. With every soldier, every guard, and every child, he could help make a difference in the world. Together, they could create a community built on love, respect, and kindness. As he turned to walk back towards the palace, Oliver felt a sense of purpose driving him forward. He knew he would continue to work with the guards and the community to foster a culture of understanding and acceptance. They would hold events that celebrated their diversity, teaching children the importance of kindness and empathy from a young age. He envisioned a future where children could play freely in the palace gardens, where laughter echoed off the walls, and where the spirit of togetherness thrived. He imagined workshops where children learned about different cultures, art, and music, sharing their stories and building friendships that would last a lifetime. He dreamed of a world where everyone felt valued and respected, regardless of their background or beliefs. As he walked through the palace grounds, Oliver made a promise to himself. He would never forget the power of kindness and the strength of community. He would continue to reach out to others, to uplift those who felt unseen, and to remind them that their voices mattered. He would encourage others to embrace their own unique gifts and use them to make the world a better place. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The events at the palace became a regular occurrence, each one more vibrant and engaging than the last. Families from all walks of life came together, sharing their cultures, their stories, and their laughter. Oliver found joy in witnessing the connections forming all around him, knowing that he had played a part in making it happen. He often spent time with the guards, learning from their experiences and sharing his own ideas. They became a close-knit team, brainstorming ways to further engage with the community and promote kindness. Together, they organized initiatives that encouraged volunteering, helping those in need, and supporting local charities. Oliver's toy soldier had transformed into a symbol of hope and camaraderie, a reminder that even the smallest gestures could create ripples of change. One day, as they were preparing for an upcoming community festival, the commander gathered the guards and Oliver together. "We have created something beautiful here," he said, his voice filled with pride. "But we must not stop. Our work is ongoing, and we have the power to inspire others beyond our walls." The guards nodded in agreement, their expression serious yet hopeful. They understood the importance of their role, not just as protectors but as leaders within their community. They discussed new ideas, including mentorship programs for young people and partnerships with local schools to promote kindness in education. As the festival approached, excitement filled the air. Oliver felt a flutter of anticipation as he helped organize games and activities for children. He wanted everyone to feel included, to have a chance to shine. On the day of the festival, the palace grounds were alive with color and laughter. Families set up picnic blankets, children ran around playing games, and music filled the air, creating an atmosphere of joy and celebration. Oliver moved through the crowd, greeting friends and welcoming newcomers. He took a moment to pause, looking around at the smiling faces. His heart swelled with happiness as he saw the impact of their efforts. People were connecting, sharing stories, and building friendships. It was a vibrant tapestry of community spirit, woven together by kindness and understanding. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the festivities, Oliver stood before the crowd, feeling a mix of excitement and gratitude. He had the opportunity to speak, and he wanted to share his heart with everyone. "Thank you all for being here today. This festival is a celebration of our community, of the friendships we've built, and the kindness we've shared. Let's remember that our actions can inspire change, and together we can create a brighter future." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Oliver felt a wave of energy wash over him. In that moment, he knew that he had found his purpose. He wanted to continue spreading kindness, to encourage others to embrace their own unique gifts and use them to uplift those around them. He understood that he was not just a boy with a toy soldier anymore, he was a leader, a friend, and a symbol of hope. As the festival continued, the bonds between the community members grew stronger. People danced, laughed, and celebrated the beauty of togetherness. Oliver joined in, twirling and spinning with the children, feeling the joy radiating from their smiles. He was filled with a sense of fulfillment, knowing that he had played a part in creating this beautiful moment. Days turned into years, and Oliver continued to grow as a person and as a leader. The palace became a hub of activity, a place where people came together to share their stories, talents, and dreams. Oliver's vision of a community built on kindness had come to life, and he was determined to keep it alive. He often thought back to that day during the royal parade when he had stepped forward, waving his toy soldier in a moment of courage. That single act had sparked a change, a movement that had brought people together and created a sense of belonging. Oliver understood that every small act of kindness could lead to something greater. He looked around at the people who had become his friends, his family, and his community. He felt grateful for their support and the way they had embraced his vision. He knew that their journey was far from over. There would always be more work to do, more kindness to spread, and more connections to foster. As he stood in the palace gardens one sunny afternoon, watching children play and families gather, Oliver felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had come a long way from the shy boy who had once felt invisible. He was proud of who he had become and the impact he had made on the world around him. With each passing day, Oliver continued to learn and grow. He sought out opportunities to inspire others, to encourage kindness in everyday life. He understood that the journey of creating a better world was ongoing, but he was ready to take it on with an open heart and a fierce determination. He knew that he was not alone in this journey. He had the support of the guards, the royal family, and the community behind him. Together, they had built a foundation of kindness and understanding, and they would continue to nurture it for generations to come. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, Oliver felt a sense of excitement for what the future held. He had dreams of expanding their initiatives, reaching more people, and spreading kindness beyond their city. He envisioned a world where everyone felt seen, heard, and valued, where compassion reigned supreme. With his toy soldier in hand, Oliver took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the moment. He was ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that every step he took would contribute to the greater good. He would keep sharing his message of kindness, encouraging others to join him on this journey of love and connection. In the heart,